in Canaan.
Polytheism was deeply rooted in this part of the world for many millennia. Well, this, in fact, exemplifies the whole thing. I'm standing on the steps to the altar. This altar was constructed in the 3rd millennium BC, early Bronze Age, and it served the temple, which is on the right-hand side and behind us.
Canaan was the promised land the Bible says God promised to Abraham. But scholars today look beyond the Bible for evidence of Abraham's people, the early Israelites.
When we get to the formative period in Israelite history, archaeology is the queen of the battle. And archaeology is the center, because archaeology provides you with real-time evidence. If I take a spade now here, and in front of the camera, try and start excavating here, in the same very moment, I am into the real historical layer, archaeological layer, whatever you want to call it. This is not the case with the biblical text. So we all need to remember that.
The excavations here in Megiddo, in the center of Canaan, seem to show that the early Israelites continued to worship the same polytheistic gods as the Canaanites.
When we speak about the transition from Canaanite life, let's say in the 2nd millennium, to Israelite in the late 2nd and beginning of the 1st millennium BC, I think from the cultic point of view, nothing happened. I mean, there is a continuity.
Other sites also point to the worship of many gods in this region. 70 kilometers away, archaeologists are excavating Tel Hazor, the ancient capital of Canaan.
It is the largest site in the country. It's more than 200 acres, with a population of some 15 to 20,000 people, which makes it comparable to Paris, London, New York of today. It's a major site.
There is clear evidence here of the many gods of Canaan.
We are in a place of worship of the Canaanite period. You can see, first of all, by the standing stones, which were worshipped. We have the names of the different gods and their functions and this and that and the other. Like Adu, yes, the weather god, was a very, very important god here at Hatzor. He was definitely not the only one. The god Sin was worshipped, the moon god was worshipped, the god El was worshipped.
The Canaanites worshipped a pantheon of gods headed by El, his wife Asherah, and Baal. And when the Israelites emerged in Canaan, they appeared to have worshipped the same Canaanite gods.
The chief god of the Canaanites is called El. So is called the chief god of the Israelites. He's called El, or Elohim. There is no question that a lot of cult practices and ideas were taken over.
The Bible confirms that the Israelites worshipped these Canaanite gods.
The prophets keep complaining that why are you worshiping this god? Why are you worshiping Baal? Why are you doing this and that and the other? You are not supposed to do it. You are supposed to stay away from Canaanite. You have to separate yourself from the Canaanite people as well as the Canaanite religion, and so on and so forth.
The early books of the Bible are full of the struggle for the hearts and minds of the Israelites, a battle between the old pagan Canaanite gods and the one God who revealed himself as Yahweh.
אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אשר הוצאתיך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי.
Your God. You shall have no other gods before me.
It's the first of the 10 Commandments given to Moses by God on Mount Sinai.
Right, so this is what we have in the time of Moses. A commandment of worshipping the one without negating the existence of the others.
The Israelites had Yahweh as their God, but they didn't yet conceive of him as the only God. Despite the commandments and the warnings of Moses and other prophets, the Israelites still persisted with the worship of other gods, including females.
This little clay figurine was found in my excavations in a large site in northern Israel, south of the Lake of Galilee, called Tel Rehov, a place which is not mentioned in the Bible, but yet it was a very important city during the 10th and 9th and 8th centuries BC. In the field, one of our volunteers just picked her up and ran to me and showed it to me, and I was very pleased. You know, it's always a pleasure.
The figurine is nearly 2,900 years old. It's an example of thousands of female figurines discovered throughout the region in the Israelite period.
She's holding here a baby. She's holding a baby. So she's a mother. She's a mother goddess in this case. We think that this is Asherah, though this is one of the nice examples of this type of figurines from around 900 BC, when Israelite religion was not yet completely monotheistic, that's for sure.
The Israelites were still worshipping the Canaanite goddess Asherah. They imagined her as the wife of their god, Yahweh.
We have, for example, inscriptions on jars which say, to Yahweh and his Asherah. Okay, so there is Yahweh and there is, if you want to say, Mrs. Yahweh, Asherah. The Israelites worship many gods, unlike what is more or less common belief that all Israelites worship Yahweh. So there is clear evidence that Yahweh had to fight for a long time and quite a fierce battle until he was accepted as the one and only.
It took several centuries before the Israelites finally embraced Yahweh as the one and only God. And to make that happen, needed a catastrophe. "2,600 years ago, Jerusalem is attacked by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. The city is sacked, the house of Yahweh, the temple, is destroyed, and thousands of Jews are taken as slaves into exile. Yahweh seemed defeated.
It was a theological catastrophe because the simple fact was that the God of Israel was defeated by the God of the Babylonians. This was the way people looked at it at that time, and they had to explain what had happened. They had either to yield and forget all about this and be part of the Babylonian culture, or they had to come up with this, with an explanation.
In captivity in Babylon, the Israelites developed a revolutionary explanation for the defeat of their God, Yahweh.
They came up with an amazing, way of philosophic already, explanation of what exactly had happened and how it came about that the God of Israel was supposedly defeated, but in fact he won, They say, well, let's think about this. The God of Israel is so powerful that he is universal, that he rules everything, that he decides everything, that he sent the king of Babylonia. The king of Babylonia was no more than a little pawn in the hands of the God of Israel to be sent to punish the apostasy of the Israelites. No more than that.
The winning God wasn't the Babylonian God. He was Yahweh using the Babylonians to punish the Israelites. So Yahweh is not just the Israelites' God, he's the Babylonians' God. He's everyone's God. An unknown prophet given the name Isaiah created the first defining statement of monotheism and changed the course of human history.
There is no other God besides me. I am the creator of good and evil. I am the creator of light and darkness. There is no one beside me.
It's absolutely a watershed moment in history. There's a sense in terms of religion that it's maybe the greatest idea. If you judge greatest ideas by the ideas that really had lasting impact.
The Persians under Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon and allowed the Israelites to return to Jerusalem. They took their new idea of one universal God back with them. But the Jews didn't spread their brilliant new idea to the rest of the world. That was the work of another religion, built on the foundations of Judaism.